Hello, everybody. Welcome to Test Prep by Inside IIM. My name is Charul, and I'm your host for the day. Well, CAT is 6 months away, and now is the time when all the aspirants are on their toes and are seriously preparing for the exam. They generally have a lot of questions around the preparation strategies, and to answer all those questions, today we have with us two of the top scorers of CAT 21 who have made it to the finest B schools of the country. So, welcome Sajag and Pallavi. Thank you for making time for this conversation. Before we move ahead, why don't you all quickly introduce yourselves to our audience and then let's take it from there.
Okay, thank you, Charul, for the great introduction. And as you mentioned, my name is Pallavi. Hello, guys. And I have scored 99.64 percentile, and I plan to join IIM Bangalore this year. And I am a non-engineer. I passed out from Shriram College of Commerce. I have pursued BCom honors, and my year of passing was 2021. And I am a gap year student.
What about
Thank
you,
you, Pallavi.
Sajag?
Yeah, my name is Sajag Prakash. I'm currently a final year student of computer science engineering from IIIT Delhi. My CAT percentile was 99.88 percentile. I got calls from almost all of the top IIMs and managed to convert IIM Ahmedabad, Calcutta, and FMS. And I'm planning on joining IIM Ahmedabad this coming year.
Great. Firstly, congratulations, guys, for the great converse. I'm sure. I mean, firstly, tell me, how are you feeling right now? I mean, after the years, hustle and slogging throughout the year, you finally made it to your dream schools. How does it feel?
Honestly, for me, it hasn't quite synced in because I still don't realize that I'm actually joining the most coveted B school in around a month, less than a month.
Right.
So it's very surreal, and I think that once I join and I set foot in the campus, that's when it's gonna hit me.
The day you'll see the gate of the campus,
Yeah, and I'll probably click a photo and also update it on LinkedIn.
Right.
That is very true, actually. Being a GEM fresher, that's a general engineer male fresher, making it to IIM ABC is something that is always said that it's very difficult for engineer specifically.
Right.
Therefore, I had never imagined that I could actually achieve this feat. And when I got my result, I would just stare at it for hours and hours. So that, is it really that I have gotten admission into the prestigious B School of India?
Right.
So it's a great feeling, and believe me, guys, the hard work you are doing now would pay off for sure. You feel great.
Right. So, guys, I want to know firstly that what was your motivation behind pursuing an MBA, and why did you want to write CAT in the first place? Let's start with you, Pallavi.
Yeah. So actually, I belong to a family of doctors, and so everyone, since I scored like good marks in class 10th, 9th, and also everyone was telling me to, you should pursue science. You're a science material, but I always wanted to explore something different, and I was particularly interested in how businesses work, to learn more about the general environment. So I opted for commerce, and that's when I actually fell in love with subjects like business studies, accounts, and all, and especially economics. And from there on, I pursued BCom honors from Shriram College of Commerce. So over there, I particularly realized that where that management has so many subdomains, and that's where actually interests me, and I wanted to pursue that further. So CAT was the only way for entering the top B schools. So I realized that I'll write CAT, and I want to step foot into one of the best B schools in the country.
That's great. What about you, Sajak?
Well, when I was in my final year of college, I did my internship from NatWest Group. It's a bank also known as Royal Bank of Scotland, where I got to see how the mixture of finance and tech, known as the fintech sector, actually works, and that actually interested me a lot. I had a good knowledge of technology when I was pursuing my computer science engineering, such as data analytics, machine learning, etc. However, in order to make a good impact in the industry, specifically in the fintech sector, I needed to have a good amount of knowledge about how the corporates work. Moreover, I also needed to work on my soft skills. The B school turned out to be the best place which could offer me all of those. Hence, I was very sure that the MBA is my way forward, and I started preparing for CAT for that reason.
Right. So, I mean, let's go back to the time when you had actually started. How did you plan on structuring the entire period? When did you exactly start, and how did you, plan to divide the period into different phases and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so should I start first?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So actually for me, in my final year, I decided that I'll take up coaching from Time. And so I joined Time in around September. I religiously attended the classes on the weekend. However, I was not practicing, like the self-practice part was lagging. So when January started, so it was my New Year resolution that I'll focus on CAT and I'll do that. So I started preparing religiously. So my first focus was to finish the syllabus, since it's a tremendous amount. It's a whole C, especially if you look at the quant syllabus.
Right.
So and I also had to cover the part that I had missed, as well as the upcoming classes. I had to be regular with that as well. So I did all of that, and up till June, my focus was the completion of syllabus of all the 3 sections. And post that, I decided that I'll revise, because around May, I started realizing that even though I'm completing the syllabus and I'm going forward, it's actually nullifying, because I'm forgetting all that I studied in June, in January and February. So I was, it was when anxiety had actually hit me. And so I dedicated the entire month of like half June and full July for revision of quant and DILR. And then I decided that I'll focus on mocks after I've completed and revised the syllabus. So after that, the mock phase started, and then came the D days. Like it slipped very fast. When you're actually studying, you really don't realize that I just started in January, and then I'm in the phase of giving mocks, and then suddenly you're sitting on your actual desk preparing for CAT. So time just flows when you're preparing.
Right. And finally, like, I mean, now you're standing on the verge of standing outside the gate of IIM Bangalore. So the time has flown away pretty fast. Right. Yeah. What about you, Sajag?
Surely, as Pallavi said, I also started my preparation around January 2021. However, I was not very serious at that point. Moment. I took mocks. I even attended classes somehow, but I was not very serious for that. After the March or April phase, it hit me actually what exam I was actually sitting for. Around 2 lakh aspirants attend the CAT exam, and we have to be in the top 1,000 or top 500 if you even have to get a call from the top IIMs. Not even securing a seat, just a call. So it dawned upon me, and I became more stringent with my study part. I dedicated hours and hours, especially to the different parts of the CAT exam, BAR, CDLR, and quant. Surely mock taking is a very important part of a CAT. And over the period of time, when the mock started, it only helped me gain more and more confidence till the D-Day. And as Pallavi said, time actually really flies. You never know that, okay, it's January and then it's November. Boom. Right. The 9 months of our life have just vanished preparing for the exam. It takes a toll. Surely it takes a toll, because you have to study for continuous hours rather than enjoying the social life. Or as I was in my final year, it was difficult because other people were just partying around, and I had to sit at home and continuously focus on my CAT studies. But yeah, I think it paid off, and the D-Day, the CAT day, was something that I would still remember for the rest of my life, I guess.
Yeah, actually, I think also since we prepared together, so there was this one conversation that we were having in around February, that I was telling him that I'm not very fast at solving the quant questions. So he said that let's just focus on accuracy right now, and we'll look upon the speed part when we're actually appearing for mocks. That's around June, July. So I was relaxed. Ki chalo, theek hai. Then suddenly we are in August, and I'm like, oh my God, it's time when I have to actually focus on speed also. So it really flies away. And I remember that around a week before I was talking to him, and I was saying that that time of June, July is actually coming again. It's been 1 year since we had that conversation. So it really flies away very fast.
Right. So when you started taking the mocks, did you see the transition in your performance? I mean, how did your speed increase then?
Yeah, actually, it increased. And also it's not like one mock or two mocks, and also it's never an increasing function, that with every mock it's a myth basically. So you will always have a zigzag graph of your performance in mocks. So at one point of time you will feel that yes, I'm getting the hang of this, but the moment you realize that yes, I've got it, that's the next mock you're gone. So you never really get the hang of it till the D-Day arrives. That's what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
So
surely
guys,
there have been mocks where I have scored even single digits in DILR, single digits in VARs, where you do not have to give up till the last day.
They have. I had one mock where I actually scored a 6 or 7 marks in DILR. So
it
that's
was with what time of your preparation? Which
around August end or September beginning. Yeah, that's so it's really demotivating at times, but we'll get on to that in the mocks.
right, right. So, I mean, guys, now we have like good 6 months, and this is the time when aspirants actually start getting pretty serious for the preparation. So, do you think that aspirants who have actually started in, like, say, March or April or May can still make it and cover up for the time they have lost? And how should they actually do it?
Yeah, surely I think I should take it up.
Yeah.
This was the time where I actually became serious, just
Yeah.
like other candidates would be becoming now. Uh, as an engineer, I believe that your quant section is something that you would still be very much familiar with.
Right.
Uh, Surely there are exceptions to it, but yeah, that is, I'm talking about the trend. So you need to complete a syllabus. That is first and foremost, be it quant or VARC or DILR. You need to get a hang of what chapters should I do, solve a good set of questions as because 6 months, although it seems very less for an exam like CAT, 6 months is actually an ample amount of time. If you prepare religiously, devote not more than 3-4 hours per day for 6 months, I think you're sorted. So it's not, you're not just 2 months before CAT, it's 6 months and it can actually be done. You don't no need to be demotivated as well.
Right. Pallavi, would you want to add something to it? Because I'm guessing like after your graduation, you must have pushed and right.
Yeah. So actually, in my case, this was the first aptitude exam that I've ever written in 21 years of my life.
Right.
So it was all very new to me, and I'm sure that most of the non-engineers would be in the same boat as I was. So I always thought that for me, April to May would have been a bit late. But I'm sure that if you actually stretch the number of hours you study per day, then you will be able to cover it. So that's not much of an issue. Like if I talk about myself per se, then I used to study at around 5 hours a day, and that's enough. But if you make it a point that you're reading 7 to 8 hours a day, then it's enough for a non-engineer. And also I would like to make a point that if you are a person with work experience, or if you're taking CAT for the second time or for the third time, then the number of hours you dedicate towards CAT every day starts declining also. Like if it's my first attempt, that I may require 5-6 hours per day, but if I would have been giving this for the second time, then I would have just completed in 3 to 4 hours, and it starts decreasing. So yeah, that's what it is.
Right. So, I mean, now let's start discussing about how we prepared for the particular sections.
Yeah.
So, which section was it amongst the three in which you had the most difficulty in, and how did you overcome it?
So should I take it up first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the most dreaded section of all was DILR, and it has given me like tremendous amount of sleepless nights. Even before the D-Day, I was not sure whether I will even be able to cross the sectional percentile in that section. So essentially, what actually also one thing that before I started wholeheartedly preparing for CAT in January. So when I was taking the time classes in around October, November, and I was seeing the kind of sets being solved, the kind of questions they are actually making us practice. So I was having a huge amount of anxiety, because I was feeling that how can one actually solve this? Because I was feeling there's no syllabus, anything under the rock can actually be thrown at you. So I was very anxious. So, but then I realized that I should, it came to a point that I thought that I should not do CAT, because even if I give so much hard work, I will not be able to perform good in DILR, and ultimately it will be very useless. So, but then I decided that I should at least give a try to the section. So I started preparing, and so there's this myth that does the round that there's no defined syllabus of DILR, but there actually is. Like, for example, I prepared from time booklets. So if you refer to, so they have this like around 10-12 chapters, and if you brush up those basics, then you get a hang of what are the major kind of sets that are asked in DILR. So that's what I did. And after that, you start preparing. So after I did all the topics from the time booklet, I prepared all the last year questions, like from 2000 till 2020. I did all the sets of DILR for 20 years from past year CAT. So that's what I did. And then when I started giving mocks in around August, September, I could actually see the difference, how I approached a DILR set in the month of January versus how I approached in the mock. So actually, practice does make a lot of difference. This is something that has been overemphasized by people. Practice makes a difference, but
Right.
yes, from actually being in your board, guys, I have realized that practice does make a difference in DILR, and you got it. You will be able to do it.
Right. What about you, Sajag?
For me, as it is for more and most engineers, VARC was the most dreaded section for me.
Right.
It was not that I could not understand the English or I could not comprehend what was written. However, the questions in the options were very close, and I would always falter. Therefore, scoring a good amount of marks in RC and VA was an uphill task for me from the very start. Uh, However, I knew that I had to improve at least a bit so that I can at least cross the sectional percentile first of all, sectional cutoff, and score a decent profile if I have to maximize my overall score. Keeping this in mind, what I did was started preparing from booklets, uh, reading the RCs of previous year papers, as Pallavi has said. The previous year papers actually do help because they use the same language, and the questions that are in the previous years have been said by IIM itself, right? And
Yeah.
those people are going to take your exams.
Right.
Therefore, a familiarity with the words and those paragraphs would help you a lot. Uh, Coming to VA part, it was also difficult for me. However, for some questions such as the para jumbles, I found a trick to it because how which sentences would go first and which sentences would go last. There are just four sentences to be arranged, and I would mostly correctly identify the first and the last sentence. And therefore, this is something that a mock test actually inculcated in me. While I was taking mock tests and more and more tests, uh, such habits inculcated in me, and I devised a strategy for myself that this is how I will approach the paper, so that I at least get a decent percentile in GRC. Then we will maximize our score in DLR and Quant at a later stage.
Right.
It was a dreaded for me for sure.
Yeah, another thing that I would like to add, Charul, for the DLR part was that I forgot to mention was that soon I realized that in the mocks, what I was missing out was I had not mastered the art of set selection. So in DILR, the set selection is actually what makes or breaks your game in CAT. So when I started attempting the mocks in around August, so what I did was that I with the first set I started attempting that, and if it didn't happen, then I used to go on the second set. I didn't even look at the third or fourth set, which could probably have been very much easier as compared to the first second. So so what I realized very late is something that I would give an advice to the future aspirants is that as the moment you enter into the DILR section, the first thing you should do probably is to have a look in all the sets and then see that which topic does all of these sets belong to, and then select the topics that are comfortable in, then rank your preference order of doing them, and then just start attempting. Also, one more thing that I would like to say is that at times in mocks, there were some mocks which had such a difficult DILR section that I felt that there's not even a single set in which I'm comfortable. So in that case, all of you should remember that there'll always be some questions from each and every set which are doable. So if you have a paper where 4 out of 4 or 5 out of 5 sets are undoable, then in that case the interviewer must have made some very easy questions from very difficult sets, like some questions which you probably just need 30 seconds or 1 minute to solve if you have read the set. So in that case, you can just solve two questions of all the sets and you're good to go. So that's another trick that you should apply in case of a very difficult DILR paper. So these are things that you actually realize when you're
Right.
taking mocks again and again. You realize that you may not solve a full DLR set, but you're still able to crack half the set. You make a partial table and you're able to guess. There's this fancy term called educated guesses. So that's what you learn while you're taking mocks. So mocks are essentially very important because more and more sets you practice in DLR, more and more your horizons are getting widened,
Hmm.
and you're getting comfortable with more amount of sets.
Right.
So
And I'm guessing that these journeys with particular sections are different for different aspirants. You discover different things as you go ahead.
yeah. True.
Also, I mean, guys, for VARC, there's generally a myth all around that people say that you need to be very good with your, grammar, lexicon, everything. And if you are not so, you'll not be able to crack the section.
Yeah.
And do you think?
I can vouch for that because I am very good at grammar. I
Right.
speak good English, I guess. But
Right. How much
even
is
though I
it
could
about? How
comprehend
much
whole
the
paper,
section is about English?
None. Probably
it's
none.
more about comprehension and
Yeah.
understanding what the author is trying to say in those paragraphs rather than understanding the English itself.
Even in the
There,
passages, even in the passages, they're not something composed of extremely Greek English or something which you can't. It's everyday English which any one of us can understand probably, and it's more about the speed and the kind of getting in touch with what the author is saying. And if you're able to do that, then you'll be easily you'll get all the marks.
I completely agree with that.
So would you suggest that the aspirant should, mug up vocabulary words or something like that?
Not at all.
Well, I would say that if there are some simple words which you need, which are repetitively coming in the comprehension, then surely you need to get a hang of what the word means. However, mucking up the vocabulary, I didn't find it useful, and I don't think it's necessary at all.
Yeah, I think if you have you should, I guess, first understand the level of English proficiency you have, and if it's like below the average, then definitely you should get a hang of around what are the common words that are used in an RC, and also you can start probably reading novels, or you can start reading newspapers. So if that word will get repeated time and again, you don't even need to mug that up. You'll see that so many times that it will get ingrained in your brain. So yeah, that's about it. You don't need to do that.
Okay, so now guys, let's move towards the third section about which we have not talked about, the quant section. So you have told about how you prepared for the section over the period of time, divided into chapters and all of that. But I mean, let's talk in detail about it, how you progressed over the period of time.
So
Yeah,
I
let's
guess
start with
Sajag
you.
can take it up since he was very good at quant.
Well, being an engineer again, I was unnatural at quant. I could see the questions. I didn't even need to read the booklet or get to the remember the formula. I knew how to derive the formula itself and solve the question. So taking an advice from me for someone who's not good at quant is would be a bit difficult. However, so someone I would say that even though you have a good amount of knowledge, there is still something that you can learn from mocks, because the questions you will see are diverse, and surely there are things that you would know. Scoring an 100%, not a 100 percentile, 100% in quant in CAT is something that is not even required. You just need to score around it. If you're even aiming for 99 plus, you just need to around 50 to 60% of the paper. Therefore, getting familiar with what kind of questions are coming in the paper. Moreover, looking at the past year papers, what questions are actually coming in them or not, is something that I would advise. However, if you are good at quant, suppose your baseline is a 99.5 percentile, surely you are very great at it. I would say that maximize it to a 99.9 or a 99.99 rather than being comfortable with it, because you need to raise the bar for all the sections itself so that you can maximize your score. And for me, whose VARC was something I was never confident about, I was fairly sure that I had to improve my quant to such a level that it can compensate for my loss in VARC.
Right. And it's obvious that you did it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, Pallavi, how did you improve since you are a non-engineer and people generally face a lot of problems?
Yeah, so actually, the trick for quant, I believe, is that you have to be very self-aware. Since there are a lot of topics, like there is arithmetic, there is algebra, there's geometry, numbers, and also there's so much things that you have to cover. So first is to realize, which you realize via the classes, that okay, this is the topic that I like and I can manage, and this is the topic that I can't manage. So for me, the topics which I definitely can't manage, even 6 to 8 months after my cat, is geometry and partially numbers on and off. So geometry is something which I hated absolutely. Like I didn't even want to look at a geometry question. So what happened in the mocks and even in the actual D-Day, what I took as my strategy was that I will, so geometry question is something that which takes a lot of time. Even if you're very comfortable, then you need to redraw the diagram and you need to do, then you have to realize it hits you and then you solve. So I thought that geometry, as soon as I see geometry question on my screen, I skip. So that's, I didn't even try. So I didn't try the geometry question till the time it's like I have nothing else to do. So that's what I did essentially. I realized that arithmetic is my strong suit. So and also 50% of the paper I believe in quant is always arithmetic. So I only needed to solve 60% of the paper, I believe. So 50% is already done if I maximize my arithmetic. So my main focus throughout my journey was such that if any arithmetic question is thrown at me, then I should be able to do it. Since I'm ignoring geometry, since I'm ignoring numbers, so my only escape was to beautify all the other topics that I have. So I did that. So what I would advise is that you should understand first the topics in which you're comfortable and improvise on that so much that you don't even need to attend or attempt the questions from the uncomfortable topics. So that's what I did. And in quant, I followed a round strategy, that in round one, I used to attempt the questions which are very easy. Then in round two, I used to attempt the questions which are like moderate level, and till round three it never only reached, the time actually lapsed before that only. But yeah, round one, round two, and in round one I used to attend all the arithmetic questions, round two probably algebra, and round three it never went only. So yeah, that was my strategy for quant.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Sajag?
For the mocks as well as the D-Day, what I
Right.
actually did in quants was my aim was to attempt the 90 to 100% of the paper, because as I already told, I needed to maximize in my quants.
Right.
Therefore, what I would often do is in my mocks, I actually tried out 3 strategies, and I would like to make the candidates aware of the 3 strategies for taking the quant section. The first strategy is attempt in a straight manner, question 1, question 2, question 3 to question 2022, right? The second strategy is what Pallavi followed, the round 1, round 2, and round 3 pattern. For me, what I found out the best works is randomly selecting questions. I would randomly click on different questions and I would start solving it. Question 1, question 7, question 9, question 12 randomly, because what I face in mocks is sometimes a block of questions come, suppose question 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're not able to solve 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
Right? So it decreases your confidence a lot. And I didn't want to face a block in my strong section, right? So instead of facing a block that way, I used to navigate through the whole paper. And for me, it was comfortable because I could manage to complete all of the questions within the time frame with this approach. And as I mentioned, the 3 approaches you should try out, as all aspirants should try out these approaches in the mocks, and whichever suits you, or even a new strategy which suits you, is something you have to apply on the leader.
Yeah.
Right.
Coming to
right
the
about that block part, because I remember there was in the end, usually in mocks, like question 20 to 24 was so difficult that not even one could be solved. Or and if you're having a bad day, then probably the moment you start the quant section, there'll be 5 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which are so difficult. Then probably the 6th question you start gaining confidence. Chalo, ek to hua. That's he's right about. Yeah.
Right.
For my preparation, as there are different parts, there arithmetic, algebra, geometry. Even though I was good at maths, geometry is something I would still find it difficult to attempt or get the right answer. My main aim was to get 100% accuracy in arithmetic, because it was something that came naturally to me. Moreover, algebra is something you can get by practice as well as remembering the special formulas. Uh, you'll surely understand it when you are taking
Right.
classes or taking the mocks. There are certain formulas there which you remember if the algebra section can be quite easily tackled. And numbers happen to be my favorite part of the quant section. Unfortunately, there was no number question in my slot. That was slot 3 of CAT 2021. So yeah, but I would say if you are not weak at quant, please try maximizing your score in arithmetic, because I've met many people and many aspirants as well as many achievers as well who say they were not good at mathematics. However, arithmetic is something that comes as a savior for you.
Yeah.
It's not a difficult section. Your proportions and subject addition, basic addition, subtraction is something. Yeah, basic addition, subtraction is something everyone can manage and get to a respectable 99, 98 percentile.
Yeah.
Right. So one common learning I'm able to draw from both of your experiences is that one should understand what are the strengths and eventually play on them. And this is what happens over the course of your journey, because your practice gets refined over the period of time.
Yeah, because there's so much syllabus to cover and quant that you need to classify them as this is my strength, this is my weakness. Only then you'll be able to navigate through the paper.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we had to do this ourselves, and someone who's listening now can actually
implement that.
implement that directly rather than realizing himself in maybe July or August.
Yeah.
Because this one common learning you must have gotten after giving a series of mocks, right?
Number of mocks. Yeah, it was like even for the DLR thing that I was so innocently starting with set number 1, then set number 2, and getting demotivated. Then I realized that in the DLR section I should probably select the ones. Then quants also I should first do the round 1, round 2, round 3. Then so it was after a considerable number of mocks and huge amount of demotivation that I realized that this is the thing that is working for me.
Right. So now when we are actually talking about the mocks, how many mocks firstly did you take, and how did you distribute it over the course of your journey? Right.
Okay, so I took up around, not sure, but around 28 to 30 full length mocks, and also gave a considerable number of sectional mocks. Like around every other alternate day, probably I used to make it a point, like in a week, I used to make it a point to give at least 3 sectionals, 1 sectional of each section. So that's what I did.
Right. And how many mock, from when did you actually start taking mocks?
I gave 1 mock in February, 1 mock in March, and then I stopped. I realized that I will just now attempt the mocks once I'm done with my syllabus and the revision. So that's probably worked for me, but it may not work for other people, because I believe that the most common thing people do is that no matter syllabus is done or not, you keep giving mocks. But I didn't quite find the sense in doing that, because I realized that if I'm not able to, if I haven't even covered the syllabus and I'm not able to reconnect with the question, then it's just giving me demotivation, nothing else. So I realized that I'll give the mocks from July end. I started and then give it till November.
Right. When did you start, Sajag?
I started again in January, February time, because that is the time mock sessions start coming.
Right.
The mocks at the starting were not very even useful, I would say, because the questions at that point of time are a bit easier and any aspirant can actually solve it even before completing a syllabus. What Pallavi did is stopped giving mocks. I would actually advise against it. I would actually hold true that one should actually keep on giving mocks even though your syllabus is incomplete, because each mock is a learning. Not just it's not just a question paper comprising of DLR and quant questions. Every mock even prepares you mentally for the examination. The major mock session actually started from June, I would guess. Yeah. May and June was when the major mock session started. I would give 2 mocks every week, a Wednesday and a Saturday. I had devised that, and every Saturday, Wednesday and Saturday, I would give a mock and analyze them on the next day. It got so much ingrained in me that I remember one week I was not giving a mock on Saturday, and I was feeling very
something
out of
missing.
place. I was not feeling well. Something is missing from my life. It got so much ingrained in my timetable.
Right.
So most of our mocks would come around July, August, September, where a major chunk of mocks are given by people as well. So you can actually judge where you stand among the other aspirants as well. and most of my mocks are concentrated in the session. Even in October, one can actually give the mocks to gauge its performance and keep a tab. However, I believe in November, that is the exam month, one should maybe stop or just give one or two mocks, because one needs a calm and cool mind before you are attempting the main paper, the CAT paper.
Right.
One thing actually that we did was that so we were giving two mocks, I guess every week. So from around October, what we started was that we gave one mock every week, and the other day we used to give one previous cat paper, like 2020 or
As a
2019.
mock.
Yeah, and yeah, as a mock I used to give. So as a in proper time constraint conditions, there was this online thing available given to you by by coaching institutes, and we used to appear them in proper conditions, and that's what we did, because we realized that giving past your cat papers, which are so recent, 1 to 2 years, so it's very necessary to know that what kind of mindset these IIMs have currently. And yeah, so that's what's necessary. And also, I believe that if once you get to know that which IIM is actually setting your paper in June, July, then you should practice all the past year papers that it has set. Like for us, it was IIM Ahmedabad, so it had actually set some disastrous papers in 2003, 2005, 2008. So we had to, especially DILR, which was the weakest section. So as the moment I got to know that, oh my God, it's IIM Ahmedabad, so I had to cover all the past year papers of that. So one thing that you can also keep in mind is doing that past IIM's papers.
Right.
Yeah.
So between two particular mocks, what was your strategy? How did you improve and analyze to fix your mistakes?
Yeah. So Sajag, you could take it up first.
Sure. As I mentioned that I gave my mocks on Wednesday and Saturday. Therefore, between every two mocks, there were 2 to 3 days, which the time I had to analyze before I attempted the next mock. The mocks were only for 2 hours. However, the analysis took much more than 2 hours for sure, maybe even 5 hours, because you need to understand what mistakes you have made in each section. Moreover, those mistakes should not be repeated, because it is acceptable to do mistakes. However, it is unacceptable to repeat the same mistake. That is something that should not be done. Hence, whatever mistakes I did, I wrote it down in a notebook and would revise it continuously over fixed periods, say 1 week, so that whenever I encounter such a question again, I'm surely going to crack it this time. For 2 days between the Wednesday and Saturday, I would actually analyze my mock, and similarly between Saturday and Wednesday, I would analyze my mock on a Monday, giving by 4 or 5 hours for each mock.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you approach it, Pallavi?
So I had a notebook for my mock learnings notebook, and which was divided into three parts. BRC was actually very small. For me, it was mainly for two parts, the DILR one and the quant one. So after I was done with my mock, I used to reattempt the entire paper without any time constraint this time. And so one thing that people actually miss out on is that they only analyze those questions which they have done wrong, but or probably they didn't know how to attempt. So they miss out on those questions which they have attempted. So there could have been another easy trick which could have been applied, and you could get the answer in 30 seconds. So it's important. I used to see the text solutions of all those questions which I have done, and the video solutions of those questions which I got wrong or which I didn't attempt. So that's what I did. And all those questions which I didn't understand or didn't attempt or anything, I used to write them down in my mocks notebook, important questions notebook, and I used to revise them before the next mock I gave, so that I don't repeat the same mistake. And especially in quants, there are certain question types that you get which are often repeated, like just the numbers changed, and so I used to write them down so that next time a similar type of question appears, I know that yes, I have to do that. I don't have to waste time to crack that. So I maintained a notebook and I used to revise it once every week.
Yeah. I would like to add to that there are some questions which you could even applying just the formula, you can get the answers in 20 to 30 seconds. Surely there is another way by which you can solve it in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. However, if you have seen such a question, you know a shortcut, waste 3 minutes when you can get the answer in 30 seconds, right?
Right.
Therefore, even if you know a chapter, even say arithmetic, you are very confident that I'm good at arithmetic, I can solve any question. If you see a shortcut, shortcuts are not necessary. I should clear that up. However, if you see a shortcut, please note it down, because if such a questions again come, maybe you can scribble in just this much space and you can get the answer, rather than doing pages. Yeah.
Right. And as we say that CAT is more of an aptitude test, so you need not go by the conventional method every time. And this is when I guess the video solutions, as you're talking about, helps by the mentors.
Yeah. So it actually, if you see the video solutions, especially for DILR, they walk you through the entire process of how they approached the set. Like what was the first point that probably clicked them. So that's why video solutions are very essential in DILR. So
yeah, right. And guys, other than CAT, were you also preparing for other like omits during your journey?
Like honestly, I wasn't, because yes, I applied for certain other exams, but I only after I appeared for CAT, and I was serious about the other ones. Like, and if you talk, I appeared for NMAT, and NMAT is something that if you're serious towards CAT, then you'll be able to crack it. There's nothing as such, because in the quant it is basic calculation. DLR also is very basic, not the logical DI or logical thing. So it's basic. And if we talk about the XLRA exam, then that's something new, because it has a new section, decision making. So for that, I took a CL course on decision making, and I prepared from that. So that was available after the CAT exam in the month of December only, and it's not very long, it's probably short only. So for that, I didn't appear, but one regret that I had was that for IIFT and XAT, the quantitative aptitude level is extremely high, much higher than CAT. So I was like, you can say overconfident, something that CAT कर लिया तो सब निकल जाएगा. ऐसा नहीं है. Like for especially XAT and IIFT, the quantitative aptitude section is something that you need to practice something separately, because they are on a very high difficulty level.
Right.
So, for Sajag, I believe that he could sail through, because his quant was already very strong. So he didn't prepare, but he still could manage those questions.
Yeah, that is true. That for XAT and IIFT, the quantitative aptitude section, at least this year, I could surely say that, were much harder than the CAT quantitative aptitude section. However, for me, it was fine. That actually puts engineers in a disadvantage. I personally believe, because 2/3 of the paper, rather than just 1/3 of the paper, is about reading. The VA section is already present. Moreover, the decision making section is also understanding the case given, reading English written all over the screen, and then arriving at conclusions. The quantitative aptitude just reduces to 1/3 part in that. Therefore, I believe if you are preparing for CAT, you can surely manage IIFT, NMAT, SNAP, etc. However, for that, you need to make a special preparation. You need to have a special, you need to take mock seriously, because the strategy would differ a lot, even especially now, because CAT is now just a 2-hour paper. That it's still a 3-hour paper. That moreover has no sectional limit. You can actually jump through sections. Therefore, the strategies are not just cut, copy, paste. The strategies have to be devised by taking the mocks.
Right. So you might not like prepare separately for it, but you need to like have a firm grip on how to attempt the paper specifically.
I believe for that, maybe you need to prepare even a bit differently. Other papers can still be managed, and given what a great institute XLRI is, surely you should put in some time for that as well.
For like, if you are serious towards CAT, then you should also be practicing very high level questions for quant for that, and also you can just get the hang of the DM section, and probably in the month of November, while you're giving mocks, because in the month of November it's probably very relaxed for CAT, because you have done everything. So that is the time you can actually start taking up that also. You can see what the DM section entails, and at the same time you can start solving a bit high order questions for that, for quantitative aptitude, because ultimately that will help you in CAT as well. If you're solving X level, then you can easily solve X by 2 level also.
Right.
So yeah, that's about it.
Right. So guys, how was your percentile journey? Like throughout, from where did you start, and what was the final percentile just before the exam?
My first, like, as I mentioned, my entire journey was completely zigzag. I have faced like the units digit in the percentile. I faced them all. I've faced even 60s. I've got a percentile in 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, everything. So I have got the taste of all plates. So yeah, so in my beginning, I was scoring 95 plus in the mocks I gave in February and March because they were easy. But when the actual mock started after my revision and all in around July end, August beginning, they were also quite well, 90 percentile plus. But then there came a phase in August, or after August mid till September beginning, where I was like seriously flunking in mocks. I was not able to score a decent percentile at all. I was hardly touching 80 percentile, and that's when I was very bummed because I didn't realize that what was going wrong. I have completed the syllabus, I have revised also. So what was it that was not fitting in? So then I realized that probably giving your entire CAT can be divided into two parts. First is the completing the syllabus and revising, and the second is mocks. Mocks is completely different. So people just say that you have to analyze mocks, but no one really realizes that what do we mean by analyzing them. So analyzing is you just have to reattempt. According to me, it was reattempting the paper, each and every question, and that's what I started doing. And I did not give up. I had to, and even I believe that Sajag has a huge hand in not letting me give up, because I at one point I was feeling that it's like September and I'm not scoring decently. So he said that, okay, like whatever you have started now, you have to complete it. So I was completing it and I started analyzing them properly. And then in September end, my mock percentiles went really high. It was around 95, I even scored 99.2, 99.3 percentile. So it went well. And then in November, the mocks took a back foot, and I started doing the previous year CAT papers. And in that also, I was scoring pretty well, 99 plus. So I was happy. I made peace with it.
How was your trajectory, Sajag?
Well, it started in January. However, the mocks were easy and I could easily score a 99 plus. But that was not a true performance, I would say. The real mock started much after that. I've seen, you could say, the ups and the downs in my mocks. I've scored as much as a 19.5 to as low as a 80 percentile or 70 percentile. All right. Therefore, all you need to understand is the journey would not be an increasing function, as Pallavi said earlier. There would be sometimes where you scored really high. There would be phases where you're scoring 99, 99.5, even a 98 point something. And the fourth mock, you would drop down to 80. And you would be wondering what has gone wrong. Well, it's a basic mathematical concept that if you are giving a large amount of marks, the marks would not stay consistent after, surely. They are bound to fall or even go up sometimes.
Right.
It's purely based on luck also sometimes. However, I believe you need to sometimes ignore those percentiles, work on the questions given in the mocks, so that on the D-Day, you can perform well and get a desired percentile you're aiming for. The mock journey are a bit bumpy, I would say, for everyone.
Yeah. You just have to constantly analyze whether it is good, whether it went well or it went bad. You have to constantly analyze, and that's the key.
Right. So, I mean, one common thing which both of you are trying to say is that it's important how you pick up from after the time you fall, and not about, sitting and whining over the fact that you have scored low.
Yeah, but good, I know the bad thing is that you will not only fall once, maybe you will fall multiple times, and you have to keep yourself high, even all those conditions.
Yeah, and also I believe that there was this time when we were giving the past year CAT papers. So so it is so bumpy that in one slot you're probably scoring 99.5. In the other slot, of the same year exam, you're scoring 99.12. So you don't realize that
where to stand.
Yeah, like in 99.5 plus to 99, just 99. There's a huge difference in that. So, and probably especially if you're an engineer, then your calls will vary a lot if you have 5 plus and if you're just barely 99.
You might end up not getting any, actually.
Yeah, not getting any, actually. That's right. So it will be bumpy, but you just have to realize that at the end of the day, it's also a lot of luck that which section you're most comfortable in and how much does that mock comprise of. It's luck, and you just have to keep replicating that same analysis thing in every mock. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so guys, we have a couple of questions in the live chat. Firstly, someone is saying that I have no work-ex and I am taking a drop year. So will this be a problem? I guess, Pallavi, you'll be an apt candidate for this.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine I'm answering this because there have been days and days I whined about this to Sajag itself that like even if I'm preparing and say I get a good percentile, then why will a B school prefer me over someone who's actually coming with a 3-year work-ex? Or
Right.
probably a fresh graduate who's just in his final year. But that is not the case. So I think that gap year is getting normalized more and more. Even they understand. And if I'm being really honest, then in all my B school interviews, I believe that I wasn't asked about my gap year specifically in any. I was just asked one question, that what have you been doing after you graduate? No one just posed a question to me that why did you take a gap, because they all understand that CAT is it's a very important, it's a very heavy
Rigorous test,
aptitude
yeah.
exam. It's a very rigorous test, especially if you're a non-engineer. And so there's no grilling at all. And even in my Bangalore interview, because I guess all of us know that Bangalore places a very heavy amount of weightage on the work-ex. So if I can convert IIM Bangalore after having a gap year, then I'm sure anyone can. It's not a very hard road, and no one really places any importance on your gap year. It's totally fine. Trust me. You just have to
Right.
justify that you can speak the truth, or if there's actually a reason behind taking a gap year, you can just say to them, and probably they won't even ask. And even if they're asking, then they'll just ask, what have you been doing? And I'm sure you must be doing something else also other than preparing for CAT. Like, for example, I gave some certification exams, or you can take up internships in that time. Because also, if you're just preparing for CAT, then it gets very monotonous and it takes a toll on you. So you need to have something to divert yourself as well. So take up internships, do some certification exams, and then you can mention that in the interview, then fine by it.
Right. And hopefully when you score well, I mean, that would be a good enough reason to justify.
I remember that in my FMS interview, probably they asked me something, and I said that probably that's the reason why I'm sitting in front of you. So my percentile says it all. So you can always say like that.
Right.
You have to be very witty and very confident.
Right. So guys, we have a question. Someone saying that is it worth it spending 2 years on MBA, seeing the opportunity cost?
Well, I think it would vary from person to person. If you have a 50 lakh jobs as of now, or a 30 lakh job as of now, maybe you can skip even doing an MBA, or even if you want to do, you can do after 3-4 years from a foreign institute for sure. However, if you have the zeal of doing an MBA, you're sure that you want to do an MBA. If not now, maybe 2 years after, I would suggest you should start preparing right now and give CAT year after year, so that you can actually convert one of the top B schools. Because it's not like that you just think that I'm going to start for CAT and you can actually do it. You have to rigorously prepare for it. Therefore, if you have a good package as of now, you're earning quite handsomely. Therefore, maybe you can skip MBA and do it at a later stage, or even an executive MBA at a much later stage.
Yeah, there's also the option of executive MBA, which many people don't know of. So if you are presently very well settled in your career and you feel that you want to explore more, then you are free to do that. And probably the age of 26 to 28, you can go for an executive MBA. So that's also an option. And I also feel that that without an MBA, there is, as Sajak always told me, without an MBA, there is always a ceiling to your growth. So if you are you are probably working in a non-IT industry, or in management industry per se, then you have to do the post-graduation, because even at some point in time, your company will tell you to educate yourself further and then come. Because at the end of the day, the MBA is not only giving you education, it's also giving you a lot of networking, and also helping you develop your soft skills, because every day you're giving presentations in your class, you're probably going on a national level case study competition. So that's what is necessary, which would also pay you off in your corporate career.
Right.
So these are the abilities that you should build. So that's
Right. Okay, guys, now we are towards the end of our session, and I'd want to know like some of the common mistakes you think you have done in your journey and which you would want to, rectify if you could go back. Sajag, what about you?
Well, maybe some common mistakes that I did was during my DLR preparation. At first, I believed that DLR is something it's just data integration, logical reasoning, as the name says.
Hmm.
It's much more than that.
Hmm.
Even the sets are not that easy. At first, I believe that DLR sets is something that can be done. If I can do quants, maybe I can even do DLR. And no, I don't need to worry much about it. I was very much wrong about it, and I think I wish that I could be under that delusion for 2 months of my life. After seeing my mocks, I did realize that this is something that is completely different from quant. I have to rigorously focus on this section as well. So this is one of my pitfalls.
Right.
I would even say that don't underestimate any section, be it VRC, DLR, or quant. Even if you are very good at it, don't underestimate. There is always much more to learn. And if you can maximize all three sections, great. Please get 100% time. But yeah, please do not underestimate any section. Yeah.
Right. What about you, Pallavi?
Yeah, for me, I underestimated the VRC section. So in my first few mocks, I was scoring very well. So I thought that, okay, I'll just sideline the section and I'll only focus on DILR and quant. So then when my bad phase actually started, so even my strong suit VRC was not giving me support. Even the marks started declining rapidly. So then I took up there's this VRC 1000 course that is giving TL. So I started that, and it was really helpful for me because because the GJU actually tells you a lot of tips and tricks for all the para jumble questions, RC questions, and also even if you're not getting hang of whatever tricks he's telling you, then also it gives you abundant amount of practice. That even till date, my entire course is not finished. I partially finished it, and I felt confident for CAT. So I believe that one thing that helped me, and I realized later in DILR section, as I said, that I was not aware of the set selection strategy. So I would just say that open your ears more in the classes, or probably talk to your seniors who have been there in your place, because I didn't do that. So I guess I'm repenting that I'm doing that to my juniors probably. And for quant, I believe that like the same, I realized about the round strategy later. So for DLR and quant, my main regret would be that I should have talked to seniors about the mock taking strategies and not realize them myself after having a huge bag of demotivation. So yeah, that's it.
Right. Thank you, guys. I mean, thank you so much for making time for this conversation and explaining everything in so much detail. I personally had a great time, and all the very, very best for the next 2 years. You're going to have a great time, I'm very sure.
Thank you.
And to all the aspirants who have been watching us, thank you so much for being patient. All the very best. Let's crack CAT together. And yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.